As you guys know, UFC 315 is right around the corner, and this pay-per-view will be happening in Montreal, Canada. And this is a very solid pay-per-view. It doesn't have many huge division-altering fights, but it does have some solid matchups, and this card is full to the brim with high-level matchups on the women's side of the sport. But before I get into my predictions, I just want to say that the matchmakers, they absolutely did their job, because the matchups on this card were so evenly matched, it was hard to make any solid predictions. So I kind of had to fence it on some of my predictions. I have a lot of these fights going to decisions. I feel like the matchups, they were so closely contested that I couldn't really see one person absolutely dominating or just finishing the fight without any type of resistance. And also the fights that I do see that might end in a finish, it can be a finish in both ways. So the matchmakers, shout out to them. They did a very good job on this card. Each fight is extremely competitive, and I'm excited to see how my predictions hold up on this card. So without further ado, let's get straight into my predictions. Starting with the first fight opening up the card. In the bantamweight division, we have Brad versus Begzat Almacan. And for this fight, I'll be having Begzat Almacan to win by a decision. So I just think that Begzat, he can outstrike Brad and he can also neutralize the grappling of Brad also. So I think those are kind of Brad best weapons. Obviously, Begzat, his karate type striking is very good. He has a 81% knockdown rate. And I think that if Begzat, if he can just utilize the combinations in his strikes, that could easily neutralize the striking game of Brackettona. Brackettona, to me, he fights to the level of his opponents. So in his last recent fights, they have been really close. I honestly think that his last fight, it could have went either way, but I think that Begzat, his striking is going to be able to neutralize the striking of Brackettona. That's why I have Begzat winning by a decision. Next fight in the card, we have a fight between Daniel Santos versus Li Jiangyang, and I'll be picking Daniel Santos to win by a decision. I think that Daniel, he can win this due to his pressure and his diverse striking. I think that he can pressure Li Jiang and just control the pace of the fight, control the space in the octagon, and just disrupt the rhythm of Li Jiang. Also, Santos, he has a great ability to mix up his strikes. And like I said, as long as he can just maintain that pressure and momentum, he can easily win this fight by a decision. He just needs to stick to his game plan and not make any mistakes, because Li Jiang, he is a dangerous fighter. Next fight in the card, in the middleweight division, we have a fight between the native Canadian Marc-Andre Berute versus Bruno Silva. And for this fight, I have Marc-Andre Berute winning by a decision. Honestly, this fight is a very close matchup, because both of these fighters, they're in these huge slumps in their careers. Both fighters are on a 3-fight losing streak or over. And let's be honest, this fight is the bottom of the barrel in the middleweight division. And whoever loses this fight is probably going to get released by the UFC. So when I was thinking about this fight, on one hand, you have Bruno Silva, who has no urgency in his fights. It can have almost no output in the striking, and he can sometimes just turn into a punching bag. And then on the other hand, you have almost the complete opposite of that. You have Marc-Andre Berute, who is very aggressive, but he's so chinny. Sometimes he just gets into these low IQ brawls and these moments where he just tries to slug it in the pocket, and then he gets brutally knocked out and just KO'd bad. He tried to slug in the pocket with Joe Pyther, one of the heaviest hitters in the middleweight division, and obviously that didn't turn out well for him. So when I'm picking this fight, I was thinking would I rather have a aggressive chinny fighter or a fighter that just sometimes gives up? And I'm going to be picking Marc-Andre Berute to win this fight by decision. I can even see a late round finish, because Bruno Silva, he does give up in his fights. So I can see Marc-Andre Berute, as long as he maintains the control of the fight and just controls the pace, I think that he can win by a decision or a late round TKO in the 3rd round. Next fight in the card is going to be between rising prospect Navajo Sterling versus Ivan Ursin, and I'll be picking Navajo Sterling to win by a decision. I think that this fight is going to play out similar to Sterling's last fight with Taco Tucos. I think that Sterling is going to dominate the stand-up, but not enough to secure a conclusive finish. But I think that Sterling, he should win this fight. Like I said, he is a young fighter. He's constantly making leaps and bounds and improvement. He won his UFC debut against Taco Tucos very dominantly, and I think that he's going to do the same thing in this fight. So that's why I'm picking Navajo Sterling to win by a decision. Next fight on the card, in the light heavyweight division, we have Modestas Bukauskas versus Ion Coutaba, and this fight is also going to be a very close matchup because I think that each fighter is equally capable of getting an early finish. And I'm not going to think too much into the technical aspects of this fight because I know that this fight is going to end really early and it's going to be a hectic finish. And I'm going to have to go with Ion Coutaba. I think that he's better at finding a finish when things get really crazy and really scrappy. We saw him submit Ibo Oslin in a very hectic first round, and I think that he can replicate something like that in this matchup. Next fight on the card, we have Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine Judicus. And I'll be picking Jasmine Judicus by a decision. I think that she's going to be able to just outpoint Jessica Andrade in this matchup. Jessica Andrade, she kind of like headhunts too much in her fights. She kind of like is looking for that one big punch. But in the women's divisions, we got to understand that there's not that many of those one-punch knockouts, so you can't really rely on that to carry you up the rankings. Obviously, Jessica Andrade, she has some crazy knockouts in the beginning of her career, fighting lesser competition than she is now. But we saw in her last fight, you can't just rely on that one power punch to carry you through the tougher woman in the division. I think that Jasmine Judicus, she's going to be able to just stay safe, outpoint Jessica Andrade, and win this by a clear, decisive decision. She might give up like one round because, let's be honest, if Jessica lands clean, she can definitely like rock you and she can probably steal rounds like that. But I'm going with Jasmine to just win this by a decision, a 29-28, something like that. Next fight on the card, we have Mike Malot versus Charles Radke, and I'll be picking Mike Malot to win by a decision as well. Mike Malot is going to have a lot of physical advantages in this matchup. He's 6'1", he has a nice 73-inch reach, and Charles Radke, he's only 5'9", and yeah, the reaches are similar. Charles has a 72-inch reach, but that height discrepancy, I think that Mike Malot, he can definitely take advantage of that aspect of the fight. And also, Mike Malot striking, he's a very technical striker. He's very precise. And I think that is going to really win him the fight. I think that he can easily outpoint Charles Radke. And I can see him winning a decision in his native country of Canada. So, moving on to the main card. Opening up the main card, we have a fight in the lightweight division between Benoit Saint-Denis versus Joe Alvarez. And if you guys follow the channel, you guys know that I made a video dedicated on this matchup. And I think that Joe Alvarez is gonna dominate and slaughter Benoit Saint-Denis. If you never watched the video, just to sum up my points in that video, Joe Alvarez, he has a huge frame for lightweight. He's 6'3". He has a 78-inch reach in the lightweight division, which is kind of crazy. And Joe Alvarez is a dangerous finisher. He has 100% finish rate in all of his wins. He is fast. He is technical. Yeah, one thing I didn't mention in that video was that his grappling was up to par as well. So not only is he a threat on the feet, he's a double threat because he combines the striking with the grappling. And yeah, I just see Joe Alvarez just dominating the fight and winning by a second round TKO. Next fight on the card, we have Alexa Graasso versus Natalya Silva. And for this fight, I have Alexa Graasso winning by a decision. Now, this fight is a very close fight as well. You have Natalya Silva. She has that Taekwondo point fighting style. And I like the way she fights. She stays very safe. She maintains a lot of distance. And she's able to just outpoint her opponent. She reminds me of a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the way that they fight. They control the space between them and their opponent. And that really emphasizes every strike that they take. And they just dominate the striking in each of their fights. But I will be picking Alexa Graasso by decision. I think that her path to victory is going to be taking Natalya Silva down. And yeah, that is going to be a very hard task. That's why I think this fight is so close. But I think that Alexa Graasso, she has the grappling to take down Natalya Silva. And I think that Alexa Graasso, she can win this by decision just by getting those dominant positions and getting that control time in order to secure 2 of those 3 rounds. Next fight in the card for the feature fight, we have Jose Aldo versus Amin Zahabi. And I'll be picking Jose Aldo to win by a decision. I think that Aldo, he can easily go out there and just outstrike any of the lower ranked bantamweights. Zahabi, I believe he's like number 13, number 14 in the rankings, somewhere around there. And Jose Aldo, he's already proved that he can hang with the top 10 bantamweights. He's coming off of that loss against Mario Batista, but I think that Jose Aldo, he did pretty good in that matchup. It's just that in those crucial moments in the rounds, he just couldn't get off the fence because Mario Batista, he was just constantly just holding him on the fence, pressing him on the fence. But I think that in this matchup, Jose Aldo, he's going to be able to just open up in the striking and just outstrike Amin Zahabi. Like I said, these lower ranked bantamweights, they can't compete with a Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, he is definitely not washed. He's a little bit more jaded, a little bit more older, but I think that he can definitely go out there and he's still a top 10 bantamweight currently in 2025. Next fight in the card, we have Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon. And I am picking Valentina Shevchenko to win by a decision. I think that Valentina Shevchenko, she has the better experience. She has all that championship experience, and that is going to play a role in how tactical she's going to be in this matchup. And she's proven to be very good under pressure. She's coming off of a very dominant performance against Alexa Graasso at UFC 306, and she outstruck Alexa Graasso, and she secured 8 takedowns. Like I said, with that championship experience, Shevchenko, she proved that she can like adjust her strategy mid-fight, and that is going to be a huge deal when you're dealing with a elite fighter like Furro. I just think that Shevchenko, she's more well-rounded in this matchup, and with that experience, she's going to know how to deal with Manon Furro on the feet and on the ground. So that's why I'm picking Valentina Shevchenko to win by a decision. For the main event, we have welterweight champion Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena for the welterweight championship. And for this fight, I am picking Belal Muhammad to win by a decision. My main justification for this pick, I just think that Belal Muhammad's wrestling is just too high level for Della Maddalena to withstand. Jack, he can defend some takedowns, but Belal Muhammad, he's on a different level with the takedowns. He's been training with Team Khabib for a while. I don't know if they're still associated with each other, but that Dagestani type of wrestling, it rubbed off on Belal Muhammad, and he showed that in his dominant performance against Leon Edwards. Jack, his path to victory is going to be a TKO on the feet. We all know that Della Maddalena, he has some of the best boxing in the UFC. His boxing is so crisp and technical, but when you're dealing with Belal, who has such an immense takedown threat, I don't think that Jack is going to open up like he does against most opponents. I think that Jack, he's going to excel in the striking and get controlled and taken down easy, or he's going to excel in the takedown defense. And I think that Belal Muhammad, he also has that championship experience. let's not forget that cardio. Bilal Muhammad, he can shoot takedowns, he can pressure you, he can be in your face for all 5 rounds. That cardio is what made Bilal Muhammad what he is today. And when Jack is constantly defending takedowns, being on the back foot, being conscious of not trying to be taken down, that is going to take a toll on his mentality. That's going to take a toll on his cardio. And we saw in the Leon Edwards fight, Bilal Muhammad, he also improved his striking. So I can see Bilal Muhammad hurting Jack on the feet and securing takedowns. So my final prediction for this fight is going to be Bilal Muhammad by decision. Honestly, I don't see Bilal Muhammad getting a finish. If anyone does get a finish, it's going to be Jack Della Maddalena. His easiest path to victory is going to be through a TKO, probably like rocking Bilal on the feet and ground and pound. But like I said, I think that Bilal, he has too much pressure. The pace that he fights at is actually kind of crazy. Those are the reasons why I'm picking Bilal Muhammad to win by a decision.